What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody. I'm back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at a boy DSP's daily rap video after a day of Directive 220, and of course, talk about wokeism. We're going to hear that a lot in this video. And last night's June the King documentary of the quartering. That's right, Phil finally. Geez, only took him like 18 years to finally finish reviewing the damn thing. But he's done, it's over, and we're all happy for that. All right, so let's see what Phil had to say. By the way, this is a short one. He did run late last night. He stayed till about 1:15, running overtime just to hit the goal. And he did a major stall for about 20 minutes at the end because support just was lacking. And he did manage to finally hit the $150 goal. He wasn't leaving until he had that magic number because, of course, he was worried that Doody and the rest of the detractors were going to make videos about it and mock him. So let's see what he had to say. And yeah, so let's get into it.
Good evening, everyone. DSP here, and welcome to the Daily Wrap for what was Thursday, the 14th of May, 2026. A loaded day. All right, it really was. It was a loaded day. It was a good day. It was a fun day. There was a lot of variety. There was a heck of a lot going on.
No, Phil, it really wasn't a loaded day. It wasn't an exciting day. Okay, he mistakes quantity for quality. He really does. You know, just because you put out, what, 10 hours of content, it's still 10 hours of slop. You know what I mean? Like if someone comes to you and says, here's a pile of dookie, right? Here's a pile of doo-doo. And you look at it and you're like, oh. And the person says, well, here's more. Let me give you more. It doesn't matter whether you get a bucket of it or a bathtub of it. It's still crap, right? So anyway, let's keep going.
Allow me to tell you all about it right now. So, we started off today with a very fun DSP morning show. Now, there was a lot of topics discussed, but I would say that the biggest emphasis of the show was that people seem in this modern era to be way too prone to calling a game woke before really playing it or giving it a fair shot. This now I feel people are applying to the current game that I'm playing, Directive 8020. So we went into talks about that. We went into talks about all kinds of stuff, a lot of Q&A, a lot of interactions, a lot of fun. If you didn't see the show, it's live on the channel. Then we played 3 more hours.
Yeah, you don't need to. I posted the video. I clipped it. It was about a 20-minute segment of DSP actually calling his viewers woke, well, not woke, racist. Essentially racist. He did the same thing with that Southern game where there was that black teenager in Louisiana who had powers or whatever. You know, it was a very woke game, as Phil liked to say. And he got pissed off because he made like $10 on that playthrough, had to drop the game, and then essentially ranted for like 3 days that his chat were racist because the protagonist was a black female. He did the same thing yesterday with Directive 220, where he tried to, you know, say the game isn't woke and all that. And again, I don't think anyone in your chat said that, Phil. Like he's such a fucking straw man arguer. Like really takes one person, literally one person about a week ago said, oh, you know, your viewers may not like this because of you know, because your demographic may not enjoy it. That's all they said, right? Your demographic, which can mean a lot of things. He took that as, oh, my demographic is filled with a bunch of racists that don't like women. That's essentially what he said. And that doesn't like, not only doesn't like women, doesn't like black women on top of it. And he's still harping on this point to the point where he went on for about 30 minutes ranting about his chat not giving a game. No one said that. Again, Phil, no one said that. And you need to learn this lesson that the vast majority of your viewers, your chatters, are trolls. Many of them are LARPers. So they're going to just say shit to get under your skin or get a reaction from you. And of course, like always, you fucking bit. And it caused you to spaz out for 30 minutes about wokeness and your chat being the racist. It was insane. But you know, but of course, don't forget, Phil's no longer, you know, feeding the trolls, right? According to DSP. Jesus Christ. Anyway, that was the podcast. You didn't really miss much, but if you want to watch the video, it is on my channel and it is edited. You don't have to sit through the whole nonsense of DSP's bullshit. I actually just cut it up. It's really good. So if you want to watch that, so all right, let's keep going.
hours of Directive 8020. And let me tell you, I thought that it was an absolutely great stream this time. Although last time I thought was all right, this stream stuff was going on. There was a lot of risk of people dying. There was a lot of, crazy things going on with this whole aliens and murders and crazy twists in the plot going on because they're...
He really means that support was outstanding. And of course, it was because of one Anonymous. Anonymous again came out to save the day. Boy, man, it just seems like Anonymous is really coming out there, isn't it? He's not making he's not getting any support. He's nowhere near his non-goal. And of course, Anonymous have to come out. Anonymous came out twice yesterday through kick subs. I think he dropped like 10 or 15 kick subs. I think like 15 subs or something like that. Or 30 subs. I think like 30 kick subs. Anonymously, of course. And then dropped, I think, a hundo anonymous tip. Yeah, I'm sure the man that gets barely 200 people watching this content gets $250, organically. Yeah, it sounds more like they're fake. It's not true. Now, the subs might be, because that's really hard to counter, but I have confirmed this in the past. You can charge back. You can charge back kick subs, and it's very easy. I've talked about how people have countered or charged back subs that were given to me on Kick. Now, I don't really care because it is what it is. I really don't give a shit. Plus, the thing too is I don't really make any money on Kick like that. I mean, I get a couple subs here and there, but it doesn't matter, right? But it is very easy. I mean, and I what it is when someone charges back, you have an opportunity to refute it. But the problem is that the third party pair that handles it for Kicks makes it very difficult for you to counter chargebacks, because you have to charge it back, but then they charge you a $15 fee if you counter the chargeback, regardless of the outcome. So again, if someone's charging back $10 for 2 subs, what's the point of me countering the chargeback if I have to pay $15? Like, it doesn't make any sense. So just putting that out there for people worried or thinking that maybe the Kick subs are fake. It could have been that DSP bought them himself and then of course charged it back, and he's not going to counter the chargeback, so it doesn't matter. Either way, he still gets them. Either way, it still looks like he's successful and he doesn't get penalized with any of the chargebacks. Or of course, he has one of his random dents in his Discord that he agreed to, hey, drop 15 subs and then charge him back. I won't counter. With this guy, you never know, because again, it's funny how I'm noticing another pattern refill is that these anonymous tips are always now coming in when he takes a break. If you notice that he takes his break, he has to stand up and stretch or go take a pee break, and then boom, automatically he comes back to some anonymous tip, almost like he had to leave to make a phone call or text or drop a note in Discord, giving someone the directive to go ahead and drop the sub bomb or whatever. It's just so funny, man. But again, this is DSP. If it were anyone else, no one would even have a second thought about it. They'd be like, all right, well, whatever, he got support. But because it's DSP and he just lies about everything, you just can't believe. He's just not an honest broker, and you can't believe anything he says. Everything he says, you kind of have to you have to take it with a grain of salt and make the assumption that he's probably lying. So
not only is there the threat of this imminent, alien attack or whatever you want to call it, but also there's other things going on in the plot, underhanded conspiracies and the like. No one knows who to trust. It's a pretty good plot, and I'm enjoying it the further that we get into it. If you haven't checked it out yet, I think you should. If you like narrative-based games, if you like mystery, if you like suspense, if you like horror, whodunits even, it's good. Graphics are quite good. There was some graphical issues today where he chopped up a little bit, but outside of that, everything has been great. I played it with the Steam controller, and I gave you my opinions live about that as we did it. Overall, really enjoyed it and thought that it was a good time. So, give it a look. By the way, incredibly well-supported stream today, which is the complete and utter flip side of when I played the game earlier in the week. However, it could just be that the right people were there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was a couple anonymous tips. There was a bunch of anonymous subs. That's great, but don't know if those are people particularly there to help that particular game, or if they're doing that because they just like me and they like my content. Maybe they were upset that earlier in the week the game didn't do well on its premiere stream. I don't know.
I think it's you. I think it's your split personality and the need to make everyone think that you're successful and you hold up these house of cards. It's really interesting because I would always say that he fake tips himself. He's just doing it to make it seem like he's actually more successful than what he is. And I always held that opinion with kind of it was more of a comical thing where I said it in jest. But now watching the quartering Jeremy and watching all of the scummy shit that he does with his channel, how he constantly is buying subs, buying ads, it's insane. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me in the last week or two that said, hey, for some stupid reason, I got subbed to the quartering. And I actually did a little bit of digging into that. And yeah, that can happen without your permission. Apparently these companies that sell subs, whether it be YouTube or whether or just a random site, they can actually create a bot to actually sub you. I don't know how they do it, but they actually can. And I literally had 5 people last week said, yo, this is really, I've never watched anything of the quartering. They didn't even know who the quartering was until the Kino Casino thing. And he said, I was subbed to his channel for some odd reason. And I found that very interesting. I was like, oh, really? And then, of course, he has come out and said, yes, he buys subs. You know, for him, he considers it as advertising. Like, he sees it as, this is another way to project that my channel is successful. If I have, 3 million subs versus what I really should have, which at this point, I think Jeremy is a sub-million channel sub, it will help him in the algorithm, which it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. The main thing that helps you, because if that were the case, DSP would eat the algorithm because he has more subs than any of the tractor, and we know that isn't true. I constantly eat up his algorithm, memology, raw fill, everyone. I mean, to this day, if you put in DSP, you're gonna get raw fill, all of the detractors before even DSP's channel even gets a sniff. Okay, so yeah, but recently with all that shit happening and me learning a little bit more about the quartering and his business practices, I'm leaning towards the position that yeah, he definitely is fake tipping himself. Like, he has some scam going on there where he's either on the kick side, he's either charging back, he's either buying subs or getting someone to buy subs and then charging them back. That's happening. And then, of course, the anonymous tips is just him simply saying, oh, I got an anonymous tip. And of course, he's so thin-skinned, he's worried of the perception that he's fake tipping himself, that what he's doing now is he has to alternate it. He has to say, well, see, I got subs by anonymous. That's different than a tip, and I can't fake a sub. So you notice how he's progressing, he's changing it. The one thing he can't do is attach a username to it so that someone can go and check the username to see if that person actually exists, has a history. He can't do that. You notice he can't do that. But he can come out and, of course, proclaim that Anonymous is there to save the business. But anyway.
However, we are already 2/3 through the game. We're already in episode 6 of 8. So likely when we play this game again next week, which I believe we are doing Monday, we're likely going to beat the main story of the game. And then we'll decide, do we want to do additional streams to do alternate choices and the like to see other outcomes. So great first stream. I had a great time with it. Audience seemed to be way more engaged and enjoying it more this time, and the support was outstanding. Tonight on the late stream, it was over on my DSP Reacts channel, and it was the conclusion.
By the way, real quick, I'm going to mention this. If you take away Mr. Anonymous, his tips and subs, Phil made about $48. Literally $48, which is, I believe, where he's currently at with his contributions of viewers and supporters, just based on his chat, the long-time tippers, knowing that Kick doesn't drop any subs whatsoever, unless it's your future stepdad. He's the only one holding it down. He would have had about $48, and of course, that's not acceptable for DSP, the most successful streamer out there.
Of my 4-part reacting project to the quartering documentary by June the King. Tonight was the biggest episode by far. 3 hours of reacting. We had a lot to react to because it was the end and it's all the recent happenings, all the things where the quartering got directly into the feud with Kino Casino. They went back and forth, with this feud, the flagging of channels, the takedown of channels, and all of that. I had quite a lot to say. I tried to add as much possible insight as I possibly could because I think a lot of people misunderstand the way that YouTube systems work and don't get certain things. Like there were certain things there like, oh, well, you know, in this case, the quartering tried to prove that he didn't do this takedown by showing this menu. And I was like, I don't think that's accurate. Let me look. And I checked it myself. I was like, oh yeah, that wouldn't even show if he did it or not. So stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't see it live, I hope you'll check it out on demand. I really enjoyed it, by the way. It was well supported. And I said to everyone, here's what we'll do. Let's take a break. Okay, let's not immediately jump into any more reacting. I need a break from it. But let's take some time now to talk. I want you to leave comments on those videos on that Reacts channel, or come join me for my future live streams on DSP Gaming in the next couple of weeks. Let's talk together about what it is exactly you guys want to see as the next React project. We already got some suggestions, but I don't know. Should it be another documentary React like this one? Should it be something way more tame? I don't know. The thing is, I want people to show up, engage, and support the content. And if I do something more tame, they might not. So let's talk about it. All right, let's see. But I was pleased with how it went tonight. Like I said, it lasted a long time. I went a little late, but it's fine because I actually have less setup to do for tomorrow because I don't have to do thumbnails and stuff for that stream. So it all works out. Thank you so much to anyone who checked out all 4 parts. You can now watch them all, by the way, in a...
Yeah, nobody cares. Again, his reaction was just dog shit. It really was. The only interesting part was he literally stopped the stream for almost 7 minutes when they went to that thing about the reporting history. Apparently on YouTube, YouTube tracks anytime you report a channel for just whatever. If you're watching a video and you see hate speech or something, you can just report a video. That's the section, and he got very, very interested in that section where he literally stopped it because he thought that, in my view, I think what he was trying to do was he was trying to say, oh, is there a way for me to report detractors and hide the fact that I'm reporting detractors? Because he was trying to test out whether if you can submit a report like hate speech or copyright or whatever, and then go back into that screen and delete your history or pull back the you know, after you submit it and the person gets a strike or a warning or whatever, or their video taken down, can you go back later and retract the actual report? I'm not going to say whether you can or not. I know whether you can or not, but he got very interested in that because to me, it almost sounds like he was very interested in finding a way so that he can try to felt the detractors. But again, Phil, you know this. I mean, you're not that stupid. You know that, you know, eye for an eye. You know, look at what happened. Look what's happening. And Phil, if you're watching this, and this is not a threat, I'm actually just giving you sound advice, which you already know. Look at what's going on with Jeremy right now, the quartering, because he decided to fight, you know, fight fire with, you know, reporting and being a flagette, right? And look what's happening to his channel, his viewership, everything, okay? So let that be a warning to you, Phil. If you decide you want to, you know, go down the same route because you're upset with Raw Phil, or you're upset with me, or you're upset with that being said, or what have you, okay? So just putting that little warning out there, Phil, because again, if this starts to happen, people are not going to give you the benefit of the doubt. Everyone's going to assume that you're flagging and reporting content. And what they're going to do is they're going to go to that section of the video, which I'm actually going to make a video about it. And they're going to be like, hey, what are you doing here? Very similar to when Jeremy was telling Josh Moon his plan to take down Kino Casino and how it played out the same exact way he said on the DMs. So again, Phil, be very careful, because if something like this starts happening again, whether you did it or not, you're going to get blamed for it. So be very careful. Remember what happened in 2024 when the last time of rounds where your mutt Superhound decided to start taking down channels. Remember what happened. You end up eating 2 strikes and almost got a 3rd one. All right, Phil? And again, I'm not going to do any of that. I don't get involved in those stupid ops because, again, I believe that it's just stupid. It really is, you know. But you know somebody will, Phil. I'm just letting you know right now. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm streaming today at 9:30. We'll go over this video. We're actually going to have a segment where we'll talk about the whole reporting thing. It's ridiculous. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace out.